Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League Playoffs Day number 2. Riders all over the world are competing for the top spots in this 2021-22 season 1, actually, of the Zwift Racing League. Super excited for this. We are out on one of the most challenging courses. It's a climber's course out here today, Dave, and essentially, we have a points race up front with, well, a whole lot of points at the top of the KOM, but up front, there's a huge battle for the sprinters, followed up by a monstrous, essentially 15 to 20 minute all-out effort. I got you on mute, Dave. I think I got you on mute, just as a heads up there.
What a fantastic opportunity this is, Nathan, for every racer in this playoffs to have a chance to have an impact, because it's really a battle on two different fronts, as you said. You've got the first, let's call it half of the race, where the sprinters, riders like I see Christina Grossman is taking the start. They'll have a chance to pick up some points for their team, and this is why this format has been so awesome to watch, because then the finale, you want to talk about a race where the sting is in the tail. Well, that is today. No doubt about it. We'll see a lot of personal bests being set as far as 20-minute power goes. This is going to be an absolute throwdown out there today. And Nathan, I'd like to jump in and talk about the athletes actually here, because a lot of these racers will have really never raced against each other before. And that's really the beauty of these playoffs, is finding out who is the best in the world.
100%. Well, the best in the world is going to be decided on this course, Dave. And we're talking about the KOM after party, 37.2 kilometers, 23.11 miles, 417 meters of climbing, 1,368 feet total. As you can see, the 3 laps on the leg snapper with the sprint in there through the start line, and then the finish line, though, in a very, very different area, as they will be heading in just a moment there up that monstrous KOM. As you can see, it is 7.43 kilometers with a 5.4% average gradient. Maxes out at 11. It really puts some sting at a couple of sections there, Dave.
It looks like a horror movie, doesn't it? If you're not a climber, as if the leg snapper
Jason is actually on the side of the course somewhere. I believe he's hanging out with the Kappa somewhere on this course.
Yeah, probably right about where we're looking right now. I'd imagine quite a few riders will be seeing ghosts, that's for sure. This is going to be a points race as well. And it's really worth remembering, Nathan, that if you've got I'm looking at Courtney Webb right now as a rider who's had a phenomenal season, who's got to be licking her lips looking at that finale. She's racing out of South Africa. We can talk about the teams. The riders are already out on course here, so here we go. Every one of these teams deserves their own 5-minute segment to talk about the season they've had to get here. I see another outstanding rider, Philippa Draper. So this is where it stands right now. We did a team time trial. It's a little over a week ago to help set the table. Now, the points will remain in the same format. The top team today, and that's based on all of your riders, a collection of the points that they have from our fastest, first across the line, fastest through segments, and the points that wait at the finish line. And we can talk about the values there, but that points race element here comes up not only with some sprints or QOMs, but the QOM is at the very end of the race at the finish line with a summit finish today. But we also have some sprints along the way where you can pick up a maximum of 10 riders score down to 1 point. The fastest through segments are a little bit different. You get multiple opportunities to try to set a fastest time through those segments. The fastest rider will receive 20, 17 per second, 15 for third, and on down. Those points get thrown into a formula that helps us decide ultimately after the team time trial, which is obviously quite a bit more straight ahead. Wahoo Lacole Elite Women with 20, although, Nathan, they do not have, because of in real life racing down in South Africa, they do not have Madeline Leroux. And she would be very dangerous in the finale.
That is a huge upset, actually, for the team out there today. I mean,
it's a bummer.
I was expecting Maud versus Moolman Pasio actually out here today. So this will be interesting to see the change up there, or if someone else on the team there from Wahoo Lacole can take up the reins to challenge the likes of our reigning world champion. that is Ashley Moonman-Passio in this race out here today. I think a lot of the riders are
Now,
just going to be looking at her in a lot of ways when it does come to the finish of this race. What do you think as far as predictions go? Do you think that Passio is going to sit in and wait for the bottom of that climb and just smash it while the rest of the team looks to take down points?
it's a really good question because I know that she'll be there for the finale, Nathan. My question is, does she extend herself and try to dominate from tip to tail out here today? You can see the South African flag is going to be relatively prominent today. But Nathan, I'm with you. I'm going to imagine with how heavily weighted this is. Now, there's 70 points as we were talking with Martin Carew. Really appreciate Martin help break down exactly what can happen out here today. There's 70 points waiting for a rider at the finish line if she is able to win the race, take that will get you first across the line and the fastest through segment. So there's a lot of points waiting there. I see some names. Jen Reel, Nathan, she deserves a happy birthday. Just, I believe, yesterday was Jen's birthday as she's celebrating there in Hawaii. And obviously didn't eat too much cake because she's feeling comfortable sitting right in this group. This is a really elite group.
I don't know. The day
Or maybe
before a
she ate
race
just
like
enough
this,
cake.
I'd be
Yeah,
like,
right.
give me all the cake. Like, where is more cake right before we hit a ride
Point.
like this?
Very good point.
Keeping it real, the cake is not a lie, I think, out here today. As Jennifer Reel is going to be out here representing well. I believe she's riding for the Team Riot out here. And as you can
She
see,
is.
Team Riot in that Technicolor Zwift. Plenty of them represented there. Coalition is out here as well. They're going to be in the bright pinkish. It's like an off purplish. It's almost purple, almost pink. I'm always getting a little bit confused. But in that one, also do not get confused with the Roca Corba kit that does have the R on the back there as well. We do have SZ, Team SZ in here, and then WLC obviously as well. So those are the teams that are showing up on the day. As we head towards our first leg snapper, this is going to be the first separation point. And whether or not you hang on over the top of the leg snapper is going to be the telltale sign as whether or not you're going to make the sprint afterwards. Kind of a difficult course, Dave, for the sprinters in some ways because of that punch in the face before you hit where you got to get the points for your team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a long climb when Nathan talking about the leg snapper. It's one of the, I would say, notorious segments that we've got here in the world of Zwift. But Nathan, just to set the table really quick here, these teams now were the best out of their zone racing in the around the globe, excuse me. And so most of these athletes have really proven themselves that they've got the mettle and the chops to make it up and over this climb. It'll be interesting to me to see if anybody does get dropped, actually, because the depth, it's not a huge field here because we're into our playoffs, but the talent is top notch, no doubt about it. So 3 laps here in Innsbruck before we begin that final climb to glory here for some of our riders. This is, you really have to wonder, Nathan, as you said earlier, if you overextend yourself right now, can you find yourself in trouble later in the race? Well, absolutely. As we start to watch that pitch go up, this is the infamous leg snapper. Let's see what happens. Moonman-Passio moving up on the right-hand side there. You can see our reigning eSport world champion looking quite comfortable. As you'd expect, she can tap out a nice tempo all day here today.
Moonman-Passio now 8 watts per kilogram. Moving over to the front, it's going to be Williams there following her real closely there from WLC right on her as well. Courtney Webb, the teammate of Passio, right next to her on the left-hand side. Does look like Zoe Lamb also taking up the front. Here comes Grossman, though, setting up well. Wow, Christina Grossman at 7-3. What's happening with Grossman? What is the plan here? Because Christina is usually the setup woman for the sprint when it comes to this, but she's pressing the pace early, Dave.
Yeah, out of New York City, this is Christina Grossman. Again, Nathan, I would say an exceptional talent in this league, certainly one of the fastest riders, and she's on a good day out here today. So Grossman is going to have a major impact as you take a look at the Wahoo LaCole team. Nathan, I just realized we have a 50-plus age rider out here today, Cornelia Engstrom. That's really, really impressive. We have so many great stories, but certainly watch out for the Swedes out here today. And you can see that blue and yellow jersey of the Swedish Zwifters team. Wahoo LaCole is going to be in that blue and purple. They've been, what a force they've been out here this year. And obviously you're going to see that. Remembering the world champions jersey is on the team of Roca Corba, which is, I would have to say, one of the best stories that we've got going. That's a team that Ashley Moman-Pasio put together herself, and her commitment to esports racing has been phenomenal. What a wonderful ambassador she has been. As you can see her right up near the front end of the group. There's Amanda Argue. This is the coalition team, as Agata Flis is a rider, the Polish rider on this very international team coalition. They have a couple of Poles. There's Joanna Borowick, also from Poland. Hanna Johansson is their Swedish danger woman, and Emma Dixon out of the United Kingdom. As I mentioned, Amanda Argue is always going to be a rider to watch out here. The gamification in play. You can see the power-ups being used, Nathan, and that's a good example of the three, all of them up on the screen right now.
As they open up for the first sprint, it is going to be 11 watts per kilogram there coming from Grossman as she looks to chase down the initial kick there coming from Zoe Langham. And Zoe Langham over the 100-meter marker is going to walk away with this one like they're all standing still behind her there. Is going to be followed closely by the SZ rider here that will be Hegstrom. Christina Grossman, I think, settling for a third there across the line. What an open up there coming from Zoe Langham. Smashing that first sprint and showing us why WLC has been such a force to be reckoned with and why they're at the top of the leaderboard right now in the playoffs. After the first race, though, which was a team time trial. So WLC showing us that they've got the talent across the board.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Zoe Langham is a next-level rider, and she just proved it there. As things going to regroup a little bit, but I have a feeling this is going to be the story of the day, as Philippa Draper is the rider that we're looking at right now. And boy, Nathan, so pushing the pace through this part of the course, it's actually outside of the leg snapper. There's not that much climbing while you're in Innsbruck. It's a valley at the bottom of the valley here, as we're going to go back in and pick up Claire Cameron, who's in the chase group right
That's the
now.
Front group.
I'm sorry.
Draper is. I was just showing Draper here just to give an idea of where things are at for people being dropped off the pack. It will be 23 riders in total with Rathwell at the back and Claire Cameron. It looks like resting up after that initial leg snapper. It looks like Riot here playing it smart and reserving as much energy as they can. But I think the whole pack at this point, Dave, is definitely doing that. They're kind of spread across the road, not really getting any pointy ends, so it's not going to be this long echelon at this point. Riders just looking to reserve energy for that next lap, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it for our top climbers out here, riders like Ashley Moman-Pasio, the leg snapper is basically just doing openers before what's going to be an exceptional, a lung-busting effort on that final climb. As we take a look, yeah, I think everybody, Nathan's going to be pretty content right now to not play any cards here. Just laying back, being patient is going to be the name of the game, and just try to chip away at getting some bonus points before we move our way into the finale. That would certainly be my advice to the riders. Getting a good look again. That's Natalie Smith here on the Riot team. This is a team that just doesn't have a weak link, Nathan. Claire Cameron, Evelyn Gagnon, Christina Grossman, Megan Rathwell. So a bunch of Canadians on this squad. Natalie Smith racing out of New Zealand.
Interesting use of power-ups here. If I had an arrow at this point, I would most likely be hanging on. I understand using the drafting power-up here to try and grab an arrow or a feather, but interesting enough here, a few riders there throwing down that arrow. Perhaps they're wanting a feather for hitting the leg snapper, that they're more confident with that power-up. Also, perhaps a little bit more confidence 100%. In the 1 and 3, saying, well, I'm going to roll the dice to try and grab a feather because that's what I need to get over the leg snapper this next time.
Yeah, it's interesting, Nathan. I think the van would be the least, or the drafting power-up, which is the icon for that is a van, a delivery truck. And I don't think that is as much use or even close to as valuable as having that feather, which takes 10% off of your body weight for a 15-second period. That can be a game changer, whether on either end of the spectrum, whether you're attacking on that climb or just trying to hang on for later in the race and get through a bad spot.
100%. Taking a look at chat, we see plenty of individuals jumping in and cheering their teammates and team members and favorite riders on. A whole lot of go Christina there coming from Kristen Kolchinsky and her Josh Lipka as well, her coach. Good to see them hanging out in chat there. It does look like Teppy here cheering on his teammates for the WLC Wahoo Lacole team. Always love to see the stadium environment over in chat. We'll be watching for any questions or comments over there as well as we do get into later in the race. Let us know who you think is going to win out there, and we will definitely be looking to respawn. As it does look like we've got 23 riders that have made the lead pack. We've got about 3 or 4 that have been dropped off, and we can see here amongst this group now who the cream of the crop is when it comes to the top 8 women in the world for the Zwift Racing League. I absolutely love it when we get to this pointy end of racing, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think the experience for a lot of these women having the world champion in this field is interesting because you might be wondering, why is she racing in the community? Well, the community, Nathan, as you well know, you've been an advocate for this group, and it's a group that's grown into thousands and thousands of elite athletes, but some of the best bike racers in the world. And I'm not just talking about Ashley Moolman-Pasio, who's one of the top 10 world tour riders in the sport today. Ashton Lambie races in our community on the men's side of things. Catherine Curie races in the community. In a lot of cases, it has to do with I was going to say lifestyle. Nate, that's not really lifestyle. It's work or commitments that you have. Because if you want to race in the Premier League, in the ZRL, that racing happens at a specific time. It's middle of the day in North America. It's just after work for most Europeans. And again, you never know when people are working. But for a few folks, it's not possible to race in that league. So they come into the community. And just because of the randomness of things, some of the best riders in the world are in this race right now. Haven't really had a chance to mention Anna Fairweather, Wahoo Lacole rider out of Scotland. Basically, Wahoo Lacole is a good example of a European time zone based team. Most of the riders Scotland or United Kingdom, at least, with Helen O'Neill, Sonia Carrot. But the Dutch rider is Beast de Jong, and we mentioned Zoe Langham. Zoe, you can see right there, well positioned, is going to be a major threat out here today, as is Evelyn Gagnon, I see, riding comfortably in this group. Nathan, this is not a huge group, but there is a lot of talent right here in Innsbruck.
It's about as talented as it gets. We do see the preems coming on through here. 30 points to Zoe Langham. Total, she has the first across the line as well as the fastest through segment at 10 and 20. It does look like Hegstrom able to take down that second for first across the line, as well as 15 points for the fastest through segment. Christina Grossman grabs 8 and 10 for 18 total. It looks like Fleece there coming from Coalition for 14. And then we've got WLC taking down 5th and 6th so far, as well as jumping in for 8th and 9th. So WLC showing us the depth as well as that winning spot for the first sprint. Plenty of sprints to come, though, still, and it is definitely not said and done for fastest through segment. We could still have plenty of faster times to come through and plenty of first across the line. This is the current standings for the points that are being grabbed, though, for the teams out there today.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things people really love about what WTRL has brought to the table here. So, Nathan, you can start stacking those FAL points, right? We could see Zoe Langham move to 20 there if she wins the next sprint, but that fastest through segment doesn't work that same way. What happens there is that we could see that actually change if they go through that segment faster here. There's another segment that'll be scoring points. So the maximum you could score in fastest through segments would be 40 points. But that, again, is dynamic. That could change the next time through because we have 3 cracks at this first segment. So there's a lot to keep in the back of your mind as you're out here racing, and that's what makes it so much fun, as even riders who know that they won't be strong on the climb today can try to make an impact for their team and collect some points early on. This is Megan Ratwell that we're in with now. Riot has been a force to be reckoned with out here. Megan Rathwell, one of the Canadians on that team, one of the 3 Canadians, along with Claire and Evelyn. And I think the entire Riot team is still holding on. There's Claire Cameron moving up to the front of the group, still in this front group here.
We are about to jump in. We'll be jumping in with the men's race in about 12 minutes. For those that are wondering where the men's race is at, we'll be going across both of the races. And as the B, C, and D categories get out onto the climb, we will be jumping in with them throughout the rest of their races as well. Only reason we don't cover them up front is it does run a little bit of risk of losing some of the categories. And it's such a high risk, as well as just so much on the line here. We want to make sure that we get the narrative and story all the way through for at least the categories we can for sure jump in with up front. But we will be jumping across, for those that are wondering, for the end of the race, the B and the C and the D categories as best as we possibly can. Speaking of the men's race, though, they have what looks to be 10 minutes to go. The absolutely stacked field, 73 in the pens now at this point, and a lot of new team names that are looking to try and dominate here and get into that premier division as well in the men's race. So that's going to be exciting to watch, Dave. And, amongst both of these races, we've got these come-ups that we had no idea who these individuals were prior to their experience in the Zwift Racing League. Zoe Langham definitely being one of those names. A lot of this Wahoo Lacole team here I would call semi-development type squad in the way that they've come through, and then all of a sudden just putting these names smack dab into the middle of this world scene. I would also say Roca Corba is like that as well, as you said with Ashley there, assembling this team in the community and then making their way through the community racing to earn their spot at the top level. Absolutely an amazing statement made with putting themselves out there and on the line for this competition.
Yeah, very well said, Nathan. Part of the beauty of what we're doing here is that there's racing at every level, as you mentioned, the A's, the B's, the C's, and the D's. And for a good example, I heard from Richie this morning, the Green Dragons there in Ireland are really exciting, the RWB Racing Without Borders team. And some of these teams, case in point right now, as you can see, Ashley Millman-Passio up on the front here as they're on the leg snapper, but they've got one rider just up the road here, putting everybody in the hurt locker. But Nathan, I would say that the promotion up into the Premier League is the objective for some of these teams, and some of these teams are here to prove a point that they are the best in the community. So we're going to come up and over the top of the leg snapper here. Again, it's only 400 meters long, but it is steep enough. It puts some sting in the legs. You can feel the lactic acid pooling up as we go up and over the top, and this is where you just need to be in contact, and it looks like the entire group, or the 23-ish riders that remained, are all going to be able to hold on. Although you can see the Riot team's going to have to fight here a little bit.
Yeah, Riot with Smith and Jennifer Reel here at this point. 66 kilometers per hour, 1 second, 68 with the group. They're going to have to put a serious punch over the top of this little sting that does come halfway down the other side of the leg snapper. Here's 7 watts per kilogram. They're coming from Smith now. 4.6 is all she can hold now at this point, though. 51 kilometers per hour. The group ahead continues to roll away. They're argue there from Coalition, just hanging on, it looks like. As you can see, the heart rates go out of control at this section. It looks like Riot are going to lose a couple of riders, as the sprint is going to open up almost immediately after they come off the leg snapper here, which does not bode well for anybody who loses contact.
Yeah, I mean, the dynamics of how the game plays here, when you're on these steep descents, it is so hard for a single rider to even contest against the speed that a group is going to be carrying, and this group is flat out flying right now here in Innsbruck. So if we talk about the distance, there's so many things to talk about, and that's what's so great about the racing. It's 37 kilometers of racing out here today. So with the amount of climbing that you've got, though, as there is, nearly 660 meters of climbing, which translates to about 1,800 feet. It's not going to be anything close to an easy day in the saddle, and it looks like they're going to engage in the next sprint. You can see all the power-ups being thrown up. So here we go. Let it rip. More points on the line. And, Nathan, this might be the fastest through segment times that we're looking at right now, as well as Claire Cameron is going to try to bring Christina Grossman through, and Grossman's just going to hold on and pick that up in front of Zoe Langham.
That might be a Langham fastest through segment. We'll see. With the speed she was coming through
Very good point.
Perhaps, but Grossman showing that she's got first across the line legs today. Nice little kick there from Grossman as the sprinters open up again.
Went plaid.
Dave. She went full plaid.
But Zoe Langham is going plaid left, right, and center out here. Now, I believe Zoe Langham had the fastest through segment previously as well. So This time I'm going to expect to see 19 points for her than in our fast. So there's fastest through segment and first across the line. I believe she's got a first and a second in the FAL. And let's see if she did pick up that fastest through segment. I think you might be right, Nathan.
Does look like Smith and Real are going to start working together from the Team Riot. Not sure they're going to be able to bring back the pack up front. It would be possible if the pack starts looking at each other. The question is, I mean, at 18 seconds, though, it's such a huge gap. But they could work together a little bit here. If they spread across the course, they might get back on terms just in time for the leg snapper again. We'll have to wait and see what kind of speeds they can hold on to. But that will not bode well for Team Riot. Although Team Riot taking down some solid points just now with Christina Grossman, they did just lose 2 riders to the reality of that leg snapper. 4 left for Riot, as you can see, that Zwift Technicolor. It does look like Rocacore, but still in good condition with 3 riders with the R's in the back, 4 riders, in coalition with 3 riders actually in the bright pink in the upper right there with Argue as well. So try and take a little bit of inventory as to who's made it, but it does look like some domination still from WLC as I'm seeing 6 still intact here, Dave.
Yeah, I think really, Nathan, when you're a director sportif, you have to look at best case and worst case scenarios with what's happening out here. And certainly, if I was a director, I would be my worst case scenario, unless I was the Roca Corba director, would be that Ashley Moman-Pasio could pick up 70 points at the end of this race, right? You want to budget for that. And certainly trying to get out there, there's just not enough points to be able to build up a buffer if she has that kind of a day. So you certainly, though, want to put her under pressure, and no one has been able to do that either. You can see she's riding quite comfortably in her World Champions jersey right up on the front right-hand side of our reduced peloton. Not that reduced, however, as most of these women spend their life holding their head well above water. As there's Courtney Webb, who's going to be a big part. I'm expecting a top 5 ride when this one is done and dusted from the South African Courtney Webb as well. We could see a 1-2 from South African riders out here today. That wouldn't shock me at all, but I see that Swedish flag there. And the Swedish Swifters are always in for a good battle. Asa Fast Berglund is a really talented rider on this team, as is Kegstrom and Rundqvist. So, I mean, this team has real depth, and the Swedish Swifters are certainly going to be one of the teams. It looks like they've still got 4 up in this group. Yeah, got to give Wahoo Lecole the tip of the cap, though, Nathan. They've got every rider they started with still in this group. That's impressive.
Yeah, pretty amazing depth that they have there as Carrot here makes her way to the front, coming out of Great Britain. Looks like 4 riders now taking over at the front for WLC, but spreading things out just a tad. And I think we're just going to see Grupo Compacto for the remainder of this lap till they hit that leg snapper. As it's going to be one more time up and over the top. 3 laps in total over the top of that leg snapper. 3 sprints. And then we're talking about the KOM after party. Bottom to top. 7K. Full gas. 5% gradients. Up to 11% at times. And I think a lot of these riders are now starting to think about, okay, what is left in the tank for that climb? We haven't seen a lot of challenge from the main climbers in here. I haven't seen Rathwell on the front much. Obviously Grossman, Langham, the regular sprinters here so far. But it's been pretty quiet from a lot of these ladies out here besides those sprints. And it looks like they're all looking to hang on and wait for those final moments on the climb, because it is going to be absolute wattage cottage, pain cave reality out there today when we hit that climb.
Yeah, you'll be going so deep that scraping at the bottom of the barrel won't even really describe it. As we take a look at this group again in these 3 circuits here in Innsbruck, hosting the World Championships going back to 2018. We're going to see an absolute explosion. I'm going to predict that the winner of this race is alone when she does it here today and picks up that 40 points for the winner, 35 for second, 30 for third, and then we score that 30 riders deep at the finish line. So this is your chance to really impress a lot of folks, because if you can win out of this field, you are a world class rider. I have heard through the grapevine, Nathan, that a couple of riders in this group, our community women, have signed pro contracts this year, and this did not hurt at all in their getting recognized and really being on the radar of some of these team directors. A rider like Zoe Langham, and there's a great example. So I was right, 9 and 10. So those points won't be going anywhere. They can't take them away from her. She's got also, you can see the fastest through segment points there now. She's scored quite well in that for 49 total points. As I mentioned, I mean, Zoe Langham just here in Innsbruck, Nathan, can get pretty close to what one of the top climbers is going to do on the QOM climb here. So Zoe Langham is doing a tremendous job of positioning Wahoo Lacole here, and also Carrot and Williams with that 8-7. Good job here by Wahoo Lacole. Clearly, they came in with a solid game plan.
I'm going to jump across real quickly here for the men's race as they do get out on course. This is going to be the start of the men's race here as they take off. We're actually going to be in with John Brun. One of our community riders is jumping in and have a little bit of an idea of what his start is going to be looking like. He is over on Eat Dirt Access as they get out on course. Let's see if we can actually find John. I'm seeing Electric Spirit CO here, but lots of riders, 130 riders, Dave, that have started out here today. Absolutely amazing participation here amongst the men for this kickoff.
Kevin Bouchard Hall there, who just qualified for the World Championships, a top 5 ride. That was such a fun race, Nathan, to commentate on. I don't know how fun it was to be in because it looked absolutely brutal as Zach Nair took the win. He wrote a great article in Velo News as well if you want to see what it takes. But there's a lot of really cool guys out in this group, and certainly they're going to be looking to make their mark in the world of esports here today. Same as really, Nathan, everything that we said for the women applies to the men here as well. The duration of the race, the importance as riders from all of the different divisions around the globe coming together. Most of them won't have raced against each other that much. I'm going to imagine there's some cross-pollination there. Not too many surprises, but this is not your regular day in the office. I'm a big fan of Mr. Brun here. John has been really, really fun to get to know in this community, and I love what this community is all about: empowering each other, lifting each other up, having a heck of a lot of fun doing it. So the guys out on course, the women.
I'm loving John's story as well. Pretty awesome to see. He says one of the things he said when he asked to have the live cam in is he's actually made the Team USA at Worlds, took 3rd place in the continental qualifiers, which is absolutely awesome. He says he actually uses the broadcast to help his friends and family understand what is even happening and what he is up to. And I can kind of understand that and relate to him a little bit. Like, wait, there's people all over the world competing with each other live and their avatars, and wait, what? Like it's just kind of like this. What is happening in front of us now? And he really is excited to be a part of the broadcast. He said, racing this playoff race out here today. I'd be on the watch out for John. Now, John, though, I think I'm not sure his climbing ability. We'll get an idea of his 20-minute because I really think that's going to be telltale of where he'll stand at the end of the day. But obviously, a solid sprint on Brun as that final kick to the line in the Continental qualifiers was nothing but really a smash fest when it comes to the sprinters.
Yeah, I completely agree, Nathan. As we take a look at this group, I have a feeling that the depth, though, just like in the women, you're not going to see a lot of riders getting dropped before we hit the finale. That last basically 20 minutes of racing up to the KOM and the finish line, where so many valuable points are waiting. But yeah, you can see flags from around the world as we're going to jump back in with the women. They're nearly 22 and a half kilometers into what is an absolute slugfest out here today. 37 and a little change of racing out here. But again, Nathan, you said it. That last 7K, averaging 5%, but pitching up to 11% is where it's all going to be going down. You're either going to be punching your ticket into the Premier League or back in the community. But let's be honest, you're going back into that community with a lot of credibility, having made it all the way into the final round of these playoffs. Nathan, I don't know if we'll have a chance, Nathan, to take a look at where the teams stand again, but they raced already a team time trial a little over a week ago. This is the second part of a double bill for our teams. The team time trial, which is based on really where this all started in the world of esports racing with WTRL. That was the first segment, and now we're into our points race out here today. You can see the points are really starting to tally up right now with Langham sitting on 49. But what's really go ahead.
Look, the chips on the table here at this point and the way the cards are being played, I mean, when it comes to Roca Corba, their river card at this point, I mean, it just has to be they're putting their chips on the table with that climb, because if I'm Roca Corba at this point, I'm looking at this point structure going, where's our climbers at the end of the day? Because, and WLC have put a lot, obviously, up front into the sprints, and Riot as well. SZ as well. I mean, they've really dominated these points so far, but at the end of the day, this Queen of the Mountain is going to be the telltale as to who is going to make it. It's three spots to the Premier Division that are being battled for out here today still. And Roca Corba currently are not involved in that conversation, but the Queen of the Mountain is going to be the spot, I think, where Pasio and the rest of her team are going to show why they are named after an epic climb.
Yeah, right outside of Girona. Nathan, I think they're leaving this a little bit late. Wahoo Lacole is in extremely good shape. They are the top team based on the team time trial. And the way things are going right now, it doesn't look like they're really, well, obviously we've still got something to prove on that QOM, but they have put themselves in, but they are in the driver's seat. Let's put it that way. Not even necessarily their race to lose today, but I think that they basically have qualified for Premier League with what they've done at this point. I can't imagine how they fall down our overall table, taking the team time trial and this race, and fall outside of third place. So looking really, really good, because they're going to be getting a bunch of points at the finish line out here as well. Every rider here will be scoring points at the finish as it goes 30 deep, but it's heavily weighted towards the top 5 riders out here. And that's where you will see Courtney Webb and Ashley Moom and Pasio. At the end of the day, I don't see any path to the finish line without them being a part of it. We got Grossman trying to pick up another 10 points, and here she goes. Christina Grossman going plaid right now. Zoe Langham trying to come over the top, but Grossman snags another one. So in full effect today is Christina Grossman of the Riot team.
Grossman doing what Grossman does across the line there, grabbing the points and putting Team Riot back, most likely, toward the top of this leaderboard now at this point. But Zoe Langham, I think, still with fastest through segment with a total of 30 points so far, it looks like. So Grossman here keeping Riot on the board, but a little bit of a struggle still here coming in from the reality of this women's race and Team Riot to hold on to any top spots. Now as Grossman goes backwards and now looks forward to the climb. The men now just getting into their climbing legs now as they're about to hit, or are just hitting, this climb up for the first time of the leg snapper, as we do have OTR toward the front immediately there. It does look like it's going to be Hernandez. Now Andoj there now making his way to the front from DBR. Looks like Innovation also getting involved. The initial splits are going to happen. It's always the first time over the top, Dave, that tells us who's going to even make the race today.
Yeah, you know, it's a really good tell on who's got the good legs. It's hard to find your rhythm on a climb like the leg snapper. Again, it's only 400 meters long, 4 football pitches, but it's steep enough. It's a sprinter's climb, though. I mean, as we saw with Christina Grossman, if you can make the watts, you can get over it. It's not like you're climbing in the extended Alps or Pyrenees. But right now, taking a look at this group, only 6K in, Nathan, and already some riders are really having to fight at the back as they go up and over the top of the snap.
Cartilage there, make his way to the front. There comes Skylab now in the white and black on the right side. And then there's a super tuck from OTR on the orange Tron bike. Here comes a drafting power up now. Not the best timing, in my opinion, when it comes to that drafting power up or when you want to be off the front. It's actually the moment that they get under about 60 kilometers per hour that you want to make that kick. But we do have a jump off the front. That's going to be WLC. Is that going to be Tepe off the front? Actually, I would not be surprised. Actually, it's going to be Zach Harner, from the R3R boys. Now give it a go, but Roy Arts now is going to come over the top part of the Netherlands. Here comes Ashton. Ashton with 14 watts per kilogram. Huge jump the moment this pack slowed down, and that was the timing coming from Ashton and Skylab. I think is going to walk away with this one, but I'm not sure it's going to be the fastest through segment. 100 meters to the line here. Veritas not going to be able to make it happen. Yobachi there for third. Hill's involved as well. Watch out for Team Arrow. They have been a force to be reckoned with and put up a little bit of a surprise in the standings coming into this as they were the top team coming in.
You know how I knew you were a sprinter? When I saw the disc wheel on your bike. That's Christopher Ashton is the Scottish rider there as we take a look at how the men's points sorted out. That's a good point, though, isn't it, Nathan? If you're racing with the disc wheel, obviously you have a plan here for the first 3 quarters of this race. Arrow, the team out of Australia here, was our top team time trial squad. We're Elite Zwifters, finishing second out there. They all raced this race a little over a week ago. And you can see how the points sorted out with the BL13 watt bombs right in front of Velocio for third, fourth for Velocio, INC, Alien Resurrection in fifth. So we, again, the same points table applies here today. We'll add our points race up with our team time trial and figure out who's going to be promoted up into the Premier League. And for the men, it is 3 teams as well, if I remember my notes correctly.
Correct. 3 teams. Velocio on that bubble, as well as Innovation Alien Resurrection. I think, really, the points can go so many different ways today with that King of the Mountain at the end and the sprints. And from what we've seen so far, this course and the way that the sprinting plays out at the bottom and how much you can really use your sprinters out there today, mixed in with how you can use your climbers today, I mean, this is not a straightforward race at all. You can really spread the points out across the entirety of the team.
This is the day you really need a good director sportif, isn't it? Makes a massive difference for the team to be able to have a plan and adjust that plan as far as what you're seeing out there in the race. Our man John Brune is holding on right up near the front here. Again, you know, if you finished and qualified for the World Championships, you really showed that you are at a super high level of racing. And we know that Kevin Bouchard-Hall and John Brune are in this race. I'm wondering if any of the other top 5s. I don't think Zach Nair has taken the start out here today. Using that drafting power-up, we do have the 3, the van, the feather, and the helmet. The helmet is about aerodynamics. Feather is about weight, reducing that weight. Obviously making you more aerodynamic is what happens when you see that aero helmet being deployed. And then the van is the drafting power. But that was used pretty well there, Nathan. Being able to come right back up into the group. I think executing that.
Oliver Peck over here off the back from Skylab. This is completely unexpected. Was there a dropout? I mean, this is a huge talent. And using an aero power up, there had to have been some sort of a technical situation. He's almost got them within sight now again. At 11 seconds, they are spread across the road. This is a rider that I would watch out for on the final climb. There's found himself off the back. Are they sending one back for him? It looks like they may have sent one rider back for him at this point that waited up for just a moment. They're still within sight, but he's really got a kick. Brought it down to 8 seconds. 7 watt per kilogram. Huge match being burned here by Oliver Packover. I think he's going to do it, Dave, but it is such a huge amount of energy expenditure just to get back on terms.
I don't know that you dig any deeper than Ollie is digging right now, trying to rejoin that group, and that is tantalizing. As you can see the peloton there. Nathan, you have to assume that you're right, that it was a technical here, as I can't imagine how that would be a biomechanical. As let's see if he can get back in. I'm certainly pulling for the rider out of the United Kingdom here. This is one of the bigger names that we've got in this race as well. So let's see what he can do. Peckover just
former Zwift Academy finalist, actually, Peckover. I mean, this is a no-joke rider.
No, he's got real bona fides. Absolutely has the credentials. You can see people on their companion app giving him ride-ons there, and I would certainly be doing the same. Let's throw this man some support. He's going to get back on, Nathan, as they are sitting up just a little bit.
Yeah,
and he's
look
working
at the back.
incredibly hard.
Look at the back here. Ashton's here from Skylab. They've also got, it looks like Webster coming to the back. They're just going to kind of extend the back of this pack as far as they possibly create a tail that he can jump back onto and get some rest.
This is like when you see a dog who's broken through the ice, right? And people are holding arms, linking arms, reaching in to try to grab that dog, and they just got him by the collar and they pulled him back up into the group.
They don't just hand out those pro jerseys, right, Dave? I mean, they don't just give those orange kits away, that's for sure.
And also, Nathan, wouldn't you say that 1 in 100 riders would be able to rejoin this race? You know, maybe that might be an exaggeration, but not many guys would be able to do what Ollie Peckover just did. Make up that kind of time. Although he caught a break. The peloton sat up a little bit. That didn't hurt, but not many people make it back.
100%. And I do think he did catch a little bit of a break with the peloton going across the road there. We did get a look there at the sprint points just a moment ago. This is the current standing situation. Nunez, Brune. It looks like a spotter there, Red Hill there as well. Ashton, who did take down the fastest across the line, but the fastest through segment points, they're really doing some damage at the top there as well. As we said earlier, this is anyone's race still. Look at how wide open it is across the jerseys, Dave. Pretty amazing to see. But now we're getting to the pointy end of the race there for the women, though. Let's go ahead and jump across and see how their climb's starting out.
All right, folks, buckle up, Buttercups. This is it. So Riot's going to bring them into the bottom of the climb. Courtney Webb would have the alarm bells ringing. You can see the South African here for Roca Corba is going to be an impact racer now. So, Nathan, this is going to be tremendously fun to watch. I don't know if being a part of this would be much fun because it's going to hurt. No doubt about it. We are at the bottom. Well, we're on the climb now. So let's see who's got the goods today.
It's going to be 20 riders left, 20 riders deep at this point. And Megan Rathwell in season 2, I believe it was, demolished this climb bottom to top. And that is what she is up to again. At the bottom here, immediately kicking into 5.4 watts per kilogram. And she's going to just put everything she can into every pedal stroke from bottom to top, I believe, to just try and whittle this down as much as she possibly can before they get into that final kilometer or two. Because Rathwell is not the sprinter. You know, she doesn't have the kick at the end of the day, but she definitely has the power for a solid 20-minute effort.
Yeah, she'll grind a lot of people's hopes into paste out here. Way to Canuck up, no doubt about it. You're going to see a lot of Canadian flags here on this climb, as this is going to be Ashley Moolman.
Look at the scene.
So, wow. This is bike racing at its very best, folks, as that gap is already starting to open up. We're going to make a selection here as only the strong survive. OSS situation. If you can beat Ashley Moolman Pasio, you are going to be feeling pretty dang chuffed about that. So we're talking about Rathwell, Pasio, Evelyn Gagnon, Zoe Langham is here. How about O'Neill? This is nice to see. So we're going to find out who the best climbers in the community are right here, right now. And Megan Rathwell is definitely going to be one of them. Nathan, take a look at the back of this group. It's getting ragged already. There's at least 6 riders that have had their ticket punched.
As you can see, Cass here slowly falling off the back there. Coalition trying to hang on. How many of the Coalition riders are going to be able to make this happen here? Roca Corba now trying to... This is struggle moment here for Roca Corba. I was not expecting this, but Ashley... the only rider toward the front now. Team SZ, Wahoo Lacole as well. Coalition trying to hang on. Riot now looking to get involved as well. WLC making their way toward the front still. Ashley holding on, but she is becoming absolutely isolated at this point. Dave?
Well, see what she's doing, too, is she's trying to slow the pace down a little bit so that her teammates can rejoin here. She's not putting them in more trouble. So she's clearly got her wits about her, talking about Ashley now, but this is a good moment for Megan Rathwell to try to hit the go button and say goodbye. Wahoo Lacole, Nathan, with 3 riders in this front group. They are covering all of their bases right now. Extremely talented team is Wahoo Lacole, and they don't even have one of their best climbers with them today.
Amazing effort here, though, by Rathwell, and this is what they need to do. with Megan. Just put her on the front and make it as difficult as possible. Get as many of those other teams dropped off without resources. A little bit of an arrow power up there coming from the coalition rider. That's going to be argued now. Carrot there from WLC coming across. And we were down to 9 riders total, with 2 struggling off the bat. It's going to be Denton and Cass, both from Roca Corba. They need to get back involved with those R jerseys on the back here. Real quickly, we're starting to get into some moments here with this. Obviously, we're going to be right back with this as the climb's coming over the top, though, of the leg snapper in the men's race. Still a large group hanging on with this men's race, as you can see. Lots of points up for grabs at the bottom of this leg snapper. We'll get back in with them for their sprint. We'll make sure to grab a replay of that, but we cannot miss these moments out on this climb as Moomin Pasio makes her way to the front.
Well, I think she said enough is enough, and who is the one rider that's able to stay with her? That's going to be Zoe Langham, the Swiss Army knife of racers. She's been taking top sprints and is right now riding out of her skin as she hangs on to the world champion's wheel. But I think Ashley Moomin-Pasio has lit a rocket as the South African could. Well, look at this. Langham is going to keep fighting here. So Wahoo Lecole is going to make their way into the Premier League based on what I am seeing right now. Let's go ahead and, as you start looking at it, they have had such a tremendous season. They've earned everything, as using that, maybe the least popular power-up to have at this point, but might as well use it now on this 5% grade while you're holding on to the wheel of Ashley Moomin-Pasio. Zoe Langman, Ashley Moomin-Pasio, that's your top 2 as they're coming up on 5K to go. 5 brutal Ks here.
I think the idea here, though, coming in from Moomin-Pasio is just, look, I have to, at this point, get 70 points. Like that's just the reality here at this point now, is 70 points are up for grabs at the top here. And if I do not grab those points, we are at risk of not grabbing that Premier Division spot. That's exactly what's going on right now with Pasio. She knows it's every single moment matters to the top here, because she needs fastest through segment, first across the line, and the win out here today to challenge the likes of WLC as well as the other teams that are biting at their heels at this point when it comes to this leaderboard. And Roca Corba need to fill up the rest of those spots as well as best as they can.
They say with a leader, you should never ask your people to do something you wouldn't do yourself. And Ashley Moomin-Pasio is living that in real time right now here. Is Nathan, I think you're 100% correct. Is if they make it into the Premier League, it's going to be on her shoulders right here, right now. Zoe Langham, you are a superstar. Look at this ride from Wahoo Lecole's Langham out here today. We're going to go back and look at the points. I mean, she's already collected by far the most points, and she's riding up in a top 2 spot and is certainly looking good for a silver medal at the worst out here today. This is Zoe Langham's coming out party for Wahoo Lecole in esports. Kagsam, the Swedes are doing a tremendous job as well, Nathan. Actually, I have a feeling that the Swedes are going to be one of our 3 teams that gets the invite.
Zoe's got quite a sprint, too. If it does come to the line, this is going to be a serious effort there from Moomin-Pasio to try and hold off the reality of Zoe Langham. But I think in the final sections of the slopes out here today, Moomin-Pasio will be able to put the pressure on. The question is it going to be enough, though, Dave, when they do hit those 11, 10, 9% gradients to get rid of the reality of the major puncher that is Zoe Langham and this WLC monster effort right now? 191 beats per minute from Ashley Moomin-Pasio now. It's going to be Zoe Langham, 188. Look at these heart rates, Dave. They are completely through the roof.
I'm really curious what Zoe Langham's in real life position is in bike racing, because clearly this is an exceptional talent that we're looking at right now. And Zoe is not only just holding on, it's just body blow after body blow being thrown by these two on this climb. Look at the gradient up in the top right-hand part of your screen there. You can see it's gone up to 8%. That is extremely steep. Ashley Moomin-Pasio, who races in the World Tour for the SD Works team, is one of the best climbers on planet Earth. And Zoe Langham, who's really, I was calling her the Swiss Army knife. There's nothing that this woman can't do. She can sprint, she can roll on the flats, and she can certainly climb.
Zoe Langham coming out of the United Kingdom, ripping Nottingham, this rider here. And if I look at the Zwift power profile, we've got a match here, Dave. 5-0 versus 5-0. That's the 20-minute reality here from both of them, and they both can throw down 11-4 and 12-7 for 15 seconds. We're talking a perfect match almost when it comes to going to the line. This is really going to be a battle of the best on this Queen of the Mountain after party. Boom, moment Pastio now goes though. Says, look, I've got the endurance. I've got the World Tour legs. 6'6" all day long. South Africa at 194 beats per minute, and she breaks Langham from WLC.
And yeah, well, and this is Ashley being Ashley. I will say that Zoe rode that locomotive far enough away now. Look at the gap that she's got back to third place. And there's no shame in that game right now as you're looking at, I mean, planet Earth is something like 7.5 billion people right now, Nathan. This woman stands out as the reigning world champion. And that's not just in esports. When you look at her credentials, her bona fides in real life, this is one of the best climbers in the world tour. So if I'm Zoe Langham, there's absolutely no reason not only to be hanging your head, you should be holding your head high, as this has been one heck of a ride today. But this is absolutely Ashley Momen-Pasio making hay while it's in the field. This is her wheelhouse.
Langham, teammate, chasing her, 22 seconds back. So WLC with a solid position here currently. Rathwell on the chase, as you can see from Team Riot, 12 seconds back with the group here, as it's going to be 4 riders strong. Coalition with Argue holding on steady here, putting them on the map still with this climb. Great to see there, but SZ now come over the top. And will these two ladies from Team SC start to pull a little bit of 1-2 on Argue as well as Megan Rathwell if they can? I think they've been waiting for these moments here, the Swedes. As O'Neill looks to try and chase down her teammate, but I think Langham's got the distance. But Pasio here immediately on that 10-11% grading opens up a solid 28 seconds, Dave.
Yeah, well, and so this now, Nathan, if you're Ashley Momen-Pasio, I'm going to ask some, this is your wheelhouse. Do you back off a little bit right now, try to recharge your battery so that you can get that fastest through segment? Or there's pretty much no way that she doesn't. But do you assure that by recharging a little bit right now? Because it doesn't matter how much. It's not a stage race. It doesn't matter how much you win by. But she does want to make sure that she's got that fastest through segment, the final one there on the climb.
That is true. That is true. I think, though, just bottom to top, what do you got? Open it up as much as you possibly can. A little bit of smack talk. I love the esports world. Check this out, Dave. If Maddie was racing, she'd have given Ash a real battle we're hearing here. And Madeline Ruru comes right on in. Well, actually, Teppy comes in as well.
I would agree.
And then Maddie is here and says, yeah, straight up. Just here it is. Yeah, wish I was there. Zoe doing an amazing job cheering her teammates on. So I'm loving this, and we'll see it in PD. We'll see it in PD, Dave.
Yeah, Madeline and Ashley had a chance to do exactly this in real life. Now, at this moment, Ashley Momen-Pasio is back in Europe, in Spain. Madeline is down in South Africa racing a stage race. I think the final stage was today. So she was unable to jump in. Obviously, she's there cheering her teammates, and I think that's great. But so these two, Ashley and Madeline, went 1-2 in maybe the biggest one-day race in South Africa for women just a couple of weeks ago. So that, Bren, you're 100% correct. And we'll look forward to more of those battles. One of the things I love, Nathan, is that Ashley Momen-Pasio is not only making an effort with this Roca Corba team, but she is really elevating South African cycling, trying to get opportunities in place for more women. So she's not one of those people that once she passes through the door, closes it behind her, trying to hold off other talented riders. She's welcoming to the best women in the world, and I think that speaks a lot about her character. She is a class act and a world champion in both spirit and in jersey. So Momen-Pasio, I can't imagine a world where she comes back today, Nathan. She's on a great ride. Less than 2K to go to the finish here. Wow. Yeah, I mean, having an impact like that in a field like this is exceptional. That's Kasper Kaysen, Dan Bertelsen, Lasse Hansen, a big talent on that team. Martin Anhoy, Nikolai Hebsgaard, and Tim Hansen making up that DBR team. We're back in with Ashley Momen-Pasio. Nathan, she's coming up on 1K to go. You mentioned that the pitch goes up to 11%. It's really steep right here at 8%. But obviously, she's found her rhythm out here. I see a few more ride-ons coming in. If you get on your companion app, you can follow Zoe Langham and give her some ride-ons. I'm sure she would appreciate it. Help build some more morale. Let them rain. Make it rain. I think the Swedes. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that they're going to get that promotion. They're having a great ride here. They picked up a lot of intermediate points. They're in good position. This is a great day for the Swedish Swifting team. Engstrom's a major talent. Kagstrom is right there with her. So that 1-2 punch out of Sweden having an impact out here. Back to the front. 1K to go. They would have, or Ashley would have just seen the red kite.
Apologies on that, everybody. No sound for Nathan for just a second there. Nathan was trying to do a little bit too much producing. As Mallard here now, Cassidy, Iwa as well. In the men's race across on the other side, the coming over the top of the leg snapper. We're still in with Momen-Pasio, though, for this 1K to go. She's about to level out in just a moment for the flatter section. She's gotten rid of the sprinter that is Zoe Langham. Zoe, into those final kilometer, I'm not sure she's going to pull back much time. But I do believe Momen-Pasio has done what she needs to do for the team out here today to collect as many points as possible.
Is it enough, Nathan? I mean, I'm just going to go ahead. I said worst case, best case scenario. I'm going to assume that she's going to take the 70. If not, it'll be something close to that. Are the three teams going to be Wahoo Lacole, Roka Korba, and the Swedes? I think that's my guess right now, but we're going to have to see what Coalition can do. As Amanda argued, the Canadian is absolutely looking to make her mark. The Riot team still has Rathwell and Cameron here. So it's going to be an interesting conversation by the time this one is done and dusted. We're back in with Ashley now. I love this climb as we have left Innsbruck and are well up onto the QOM right now. She's only got about 15 meters of climbing left, as you can see. I love all the data that we get in the world of Zwift here, and 646 meters of climbing are behind her, and it's really not much more than 10 meters of climbing left. So she's got this one exactly where she wants it. Hit a bullseye out here today, did the South African, our reigning world champion. A command performance from Ashley Momen-Pasio here today. Nathan, there is so much going on behind her. It's absolutely bananas.
4.2 watts per kilogram. As you can see, she makes it to the line here, and this is going to be the win coming from our reigning world champion. And obviously, we can see why she has those stripes, the rainbow stripes here across that jersey. 100 meters is all she has left to go. And this is going to be punching a ticket most likely for Roka Korba. Lots of points, though, up for grabs underneath as they make their way to the line, the rest of the women out here today. So still at risk. WLC are really going to do a great job here, it looks like. And I think going to be the number one team at the end of the day for these playoffs.
Zoe Langham has arrived in the upper echelon of racing, no doubt about it. There's someone throwing her a ride on. I love to see it. Zoe, you made your mark today. As a matter of fact, Nathan, I want to put a pin in it. Let's see who has more points as an individual out here today as Wahoo Lacole. You know what? welcome to the Premier League. If they choose to accept their invitation, Nathan, they're untouchable, like Elliot Ness. They are going to be one of our top 3 teams. They go second and third out here today. And with the points they collected earlier in the race, there is no path for me to imagine they don't end up in the top 3. Wahoo Lacole, congratulations on a great ride. Now, will the Swedes be another team that makes it up into the Premier League? They certainly deserve it, all the work that they've done. And I'm starting to think, though, that some of these teams already have representation up in the Premier League. It's a bountiful amount of quality racers that they've got in Sweden, as Angstrom's going to come through and pick up 4th place out here today.
Coalition might be a conversation here now as Argue comes across the line. Rathwell from Riot as well. It does
So
look
Cornelia,
like
then
right
Amanda.
on her wheel. Yeah. Now
So
the
another
question is, that's a great question though, is who is going to accept as well? You know, there is that question whether or not Riot want to be in Premier Division. That is going to be a question, you know, and Coalition might be able to sneak their way in here as well.
Well, you know who Madeline LaRue's got to be ecstatic to see that she misses the race and her teammates step it up. What a ride today by Wahoo Lacole. Sure, Ashley Muman-Pasio wins the race for Roca Corba, but Wahoo Lacole, I believe this will be their 4th rider in the top 10, adding on to Zoe Langham's phenomenal efforts down the hill or down the mountain in Innsbruck here. Wahoo Lacole just pouring it on. They absolutely will be a force up in the Premier League. Claire Cameron now trying to chase back a group of 3, it looks like. We got riders all over the shop right now, as this is going to be the Riot rider Cameron actually coming into the final 100 meter or 200 meters.
The men just finishing up their 3rd lap and about to head on to their climb. Let's take a look real quickly here as Claire Cameron finishes up for a top 10 ride. Denton on her wheel. Actually, let's make sure to hit this this sprint for a top 10, actually. There's a little bit of a battle here going on between a few of the riders right behind, as we do have, it looks like, Cass and a few others about to make their way through. We might actually not quite grab that. Apologies, everybody. Thought we were going to be able to get that, but looks like we'll have to maybe jump across to the B category, as I think we do have a few of the B category riders still making their way up over the top with Crush Pod, WLC, C categories out here still as well. So we'll definitely hit them up for their climb. Let's head across over to the men's race again. This was the sprint that just opened up a few moments ago as Jay Frank from Velocio led things out. It is going to be Clues Proctor, I think, who does come over the top with teammate from Arrow. Now, flying to the line, I think Partridge just gets this. Followed closely by Jay Frank there from Team Arrow. That was the replay for the 3rd sprint. We'll take a look at where the point situation lands for the men, and we'll see how they are starting their climb and how many are left intact after the 3 rounds of the Innsbruck ring.
Yeah, one of the best teams as far as esprit de corps, I think is the term, would be that Velocio squad that you see in yellow. That's Jason Frank having an impact in the race. Take a look at the size of this group here, Nathan, this deep into the races. They're not that far from hitting the bottom steps of the climb to the finish line here. Pretty good sized group, though, when you look at it, because they now have gone over the leg snapper 3 times.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that 100%, that this is a very large group, actually, after being over the top there. We still have 50-plus riders hitting the bottom of this climb, so it's going to be a no-joke effort here, it looks like. Brune still hanging tough, it looks like. This is our live cam rider coming in. And
John
it looks like
Brune.
they have not been able to get rid of the man Brune here at this point. So good on him for hanging tough. See how his climbing legs are doing for him today, as they do take that initial 8-9% up and out of the saddle now, as you can see. He does look fairly comfortable. Steady breathing. Little bit of concentration on the face now, 5.0 watts per kilogram. Again, we said he was a solid sprinter, obviously, from the Continentals. We'll see what he can do when the road heads upward.
He's channeling his inner Zoe Langham actually, be effective on in all situations out here. The great term I think is that Swiss Army knife type racer, someone who can basically do it all at a very, very high level. So they start to lift the pace here, Nathan. This is where we separate the wheat from the chaff, no doubt about it. And the riders who made that selection to be a part, or the decision to be a part of the sprinting and picking up points early. There's Tucker Wetmore, another one of the talented riders on that Velocio team. Does Velocio put the whole team into? Yeah, it looks like they have, Nathan. I think almost, if not all of the guys on Velocio, as there's Charlie McCarthy as well. This team's got some real depth, and they're going to look to have, make an impact. Now, if we look at the points after the team time trial last week for the men, Velocio is a team that needs to have a good day today. Although, again, I wouldn't be too surprised. Yeah, you can see effectively tied for that last spot, right on the bubble there with the Watt bombs from BL13. To be honest, Nathan, no one is safe, and no one has a guarantee, and really, no one is completely out of it right now either. This table could change quite a bit after we score this second of two races to qualify our top three teams for the ZRL, the Premier League, the big league.
And to the front, it looks like it's going to be Halonen. Noah Balk is there as well from WEZ OTR. Foods right now taking over at the front. This is going to get interesting, Dave, because the TTT is not going to represent what's going to happen here. I don't think at all.
No, we could see a lot of changes. And look at this. They have lit a rocket. Now, here come the Italians. Fumagalli is one of the riders. And so they are going to look to destroy this race. So, Nathan, if any team can put three riders in the top 10 here, that's obviously an incredible sign. I don't know if anyone can do that, to tell you the truth, with this much talent spread out amongst all of these squads, as they are now down to, let's call it 6K of climbing here at an average of 5%. It gets as steep as 11%. This will be an absolute Donnybrook. There's Zach Harner going red.
Harner continues to do what he's been doing all day long, which is just put the pressure on from this R3R team now. Ben Hill now, though, from Arrow on the push, and he's going to have to be, because Arrow came in the top squad. They could quickly lose that spot here. They have been really gunning for it, Dave. If there's a team that's been after this for season after season, it's Team Arrow. What can they pull off here? Now, Kevin Bouchard Hall now making his way to the front. I've raced KBH on this course, and halfway through, suddenly just some, I don't know, nitrous oxide, boom! Like it was just, the lights went out for me, and KBH walked away with like a minute at least on me about halfway through this climb. We'll see what he can pull off here, but I mean, it was just left hook to the face, and I was on the ground, and we'll see what he does here on this second half.
That reminds me of the Pat Travers song, Boom, Boom, Out Go the Lights, right? And certainly that's what, like, riders like Ben Hill, you can see Hill moving up. He's one of the Arrow riders, as well. Again, taking some inventory here in this front group. They are definitely making a selection right in front of our eyes. There's O'Brien moving up, another one of the so Arrow is loving this right now, Nathan. So they were our top team in the team time trial, and they are not looking like they're missing a step out here right now. So let's see if they can hold on to one of those three coveted spots. It's all on the line. There he is, KBH in full effect. Here comes Kevin Bouchard Hall racing out of Vermont. This is a course that suits him, and again, he's on great form right now. He was a top 5 on a course that didn't necessarily play right into his talents, which just tells me that he has got a lot of heart. So let's see what we've got now. Look how many riders are getting tailed out the back of this group as it starts to go up to nearly, or it just hit 10%. Wow, it is steep, it is brutal, and there are a lot of gladiators still in this group, Nathan.
Taking a look here, our man Brune doing his job out there today for the dirt team there. 22 points at 4th place right now. Good. Frank there as well at 24. But now as the road heads up, a lot of these names starting to disappear very quickly, Dave. B Hill is the only one I think that we're seeing that's really still involved here at the front end of the race. Oh, and here comes Mark O'Brien. You want to talk
And
about a rider who can just set it at a pace and go? 6.8, 7.1. We've seen it from this. We've seen this from him over and over again throughout this season. Jumps right onto the wheel of Noah Block here now. Mark O'Brien, 153 beats per minute and a steady 5 watts per kilogram. He beats so low. This is going to be a battle to the top. There's still such a huge group here at 1% gradient, Dave. So many tactics can be played.
I am such a huge fan of Kate Bates, and I can almost hear Nathan from down under an Aussie, 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 oi, 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 going as the Australians. Now, they're racing out of the APAC, which is a division that we don't see all that much up here in North America, as they're racing basically, what time do you do those races? 3 o'clock in the morning in Wisconsin, Nathan, when you're producing or actually working with Anna Russell on those? I mean, it's definitely, we don't know these guys here in North America as well as obviously we should, as O'Brien, Hill, and company are clearly on a great day. This just went absolutely ballistic out here. Nathan, this is what bike racing is all about, is they're inside of 4K to the finish now, but it's a steep 4K here in Innsbruck.
3 teams make it, Dave. Only 3 teams. This is the standing. Wes Wolfpack now. We do see Noah Bal continuing to do what he's been doing. BL13 still involved, I think, with 1, maybe 2 riders. Not sure they're going to hold on to that spot as Velocio now makes their way also toward the front. KBH is still hanging on, I believe, here. Food Rate involved. Italy is here. They do. Yeah. They really do. And Arrow are taking over, Dave. Completely taking over this front pack. 3 from Arrow still involved. R3 all were 3 as well. They are upsetting everything when it came to the plans of the other teams. It looks like Italy there with Fumagalli as well. Now making their way to the front. So many points.
I have to say, we're the late Zwifters. Wolfpack looking pretty strong as well. I think this real battle is going to be for the final spot here, Nathan. And there's just not enough other yellow Velocio jerseys right now. We're going to see things will change a little bit, but KBH has absolutely got his fingers crossed that a teammate's going to come up and join them, because you can see that the other yellow jersey here is going to be BL13. That's going to be the real battle out here, in my estimation. Is they're not the only teams with a shot at this point. Oh, this is going to be good. I can see the INC riders starting to move up here. The innovation riders and they are in the hunt now. Wow, this is going to be amazing.
Noah Bal has just went.
Arrow's so good. I honestly think, Nathan, Arrow is not really in the conversation of whether they're going to be able to do it or not. They're doing it.
Yeah, they have complete control, it seems like, at this point of this race. Currently, they're covering moves. They aren't sending anybody off the front. They don't need to. I think Benny Hill there is just waiting, holding off, waiting for that sprint to the line there, allowing Mark O'Brien to do his thing, follow Balk off the front here at this point. Veritas there as well from Bike Zone Veritas out of Portugal. Now, that's going to be a question there. What can they pull off on the day? They've been super involved throughout the season, but I'm not sure. They're not really in the conversation, though, when it comes to the team standings. Maybe they're going to have a good day, though, today for a win, as I believe Magales, it does have a solid climb still. Kevin Bouchard Hall now making his way to the front. Again, it looks like 6 watts per kilogram as he looks to try and cover this, because I think KBH wants to win right now out here today. I think he knows he has to do that to keep them in the conversation.
That's an excellent point, Nathan, and I completely agree. It's like, look, sometimes just like Ashley Moulin-Passio, sometimes it comes down to you either do or you don't, and you can't look around anymore. You're 100% correct in that. KBH really needs to win this race if Velocio, and I have a feeling, Nathan, they would be one of the teams that they're here racing for pride, and it's been a long season. The ZRL for our Premier League is 6 races, but for these riders, this is their 10th consecutive week of racing, and they're looking to make a point. They want to be the top team in the world. They might not necessarily be looking to get that promotion into the Premier League. So racing for the 4th spot, the 5th spot, you never know if a team is going to decline. Like, I think Riot maybe would decline if they were offered that opportunity for various valid reasons. But right now, Mark O'Brien is looking to make a statement, no doubt about it in my mind, as winning the race outright isn't necessary for their goals, but it certainly would be a cherry on top of the sundae.
Same section that we saw the gap open up with Ashley Moom and Pasio. It's happening again here as it kicked into 10% gradient. O'Brien and Balch went to the front there, smashed that 10% gradient and opened up the speed dial. And Loudon, LaForestier, Coolias here, Fumagalli, none of them able to respond. It looks like it's a race for third place now at this point with that chase group. And look at how big this chase group actually is, Dave. I mean, we've got, I think there's like 20 riders here that have come together.
Start looking for a team that has more than 2 riders in this group. So we mentioned Arrow. They are covered here as Ben Hill. Ben Hill is still in this group, isn't he? I'm looking to make sure.
Ben has
his teammate Mark up the road, right? So no second yellow jersey for Velocio. There's Ben Hill right in the middle of the group, just sitting on the chase as one would. Now, does BL13, that's the Bontrager, the B on the back of their jersey, they only have one rider here as well, Nathan. So I have a feeling this is classic ZRL. It's going to be the 22nd, the 28th placed riders that might end up determining how this ends up sorting.
That's true. When there's so many riders, so many points up for grabs. So this is far from over after we get our first.
We won't know. Yeah, exactly, Nathan. We won't know until our top 30 riders have come across the line for sure what's going to happen out here. Michael Gamps, Danish rider. Now, he's sitting in this group and is a big talent. Plenty of talent still in this group. But again, you need someone on your team riding shotgun with you here to be looking for any kind of distinct advantage. And I don't see that happening. Every team looks like they've got one rider up into that chase group.
Cassidy here, 11 seconds back, no man's land, tough spot to be.
Oh, boy.
Meanwhile, also Jet, 3 seconds back, 16th place here. Every place is going to matter here for Velocio with these riders back here, Dave.
So basically, Dan Cassidy, the Velocio rider, is in a weird way connected to that group. He's the last place rider in that group, if you see what I'm saying. So almost he gives Velocio a little bit of a heads up in my mind as far as the points tally and what they're looking for to be one of the top 3 teams. We're back in with KBH, Kevin Bouchard Hall. Has he attacked out of the group? No, he's now hanging on. All right. Well, come on, Kevin. Here we go. That group, I think he's going to be able to rejoin here. But is he going back to help Dan?
I'd be surprised. It's too much of a risk at 12 seconds. That's a huge gap to try. I mean, maybe he thought that
would
Dan
be terrible tactic.
No, yeah,
that would be bad tactic. Yeah, because you want to protect the position you've got in this group. And no, he's not going back to help Dan. So answering my own dumb question.
And as they saw KBH head to the back, it does look like they're starting to ramp things up toward the front here. Is that a Fuji rider actually on a Cervelo S5?
It is.
Not a climbing machine, that's for sure. So good on him for hanging on to this point. As now it does look like Gamps is going to take over for BL13. And this is the move they need to make, BL13. They want to be in the conversation at the end of the day for that Premier Division. Gamps needs to win out of this group, I think.
Yeah, 40 points for the first rider over the line. That's up the road right now. But it's so significant to be 3rd, 4th, or 5th here versus 8th, 9th, and 10th when you look at the points. As it should be. It's stacked heavily towards the top riders.
Arrow, Wes Wolfpack, that discussion may be over with the reality of what is up the road. But BL13 and Velocio, there's still a conversation to be had there. As you do see Hill playing so smart. Look at what he's doing here. Right to the wheel of BL13. You're not going anywhere. I'm going to stick right here and make sure that I cover any points you're going to try and grab. 3 riders off the front. It looks like 4 riders now off the front, actually, of that main group. And now the battles really start to begin. Gamps, he's got to make it happen for the BL13 team, though, in my opinion, right now.
This is a command performance from the Aero team. They really are, Nathan, proving that they are the best out of the community. With the way they're riding right now, it's almost like watching a cat playing with a mouse in the corner of the church. They absolutely have their bases covered. We don't have that much more climbing left, and we really don't have that many more meters of racing left as we're inside of 1K to go. These are our 2 leaders that we're jumping back in with. This is going to be epic. a two-man throwdown. It looks like we are. I was saying, Nathan, I thought our winner would be alone. Well, not quite alone. It's a two-rider group going to the line here after an unbelievably fun day of racing to watch. This is it, folks. The last kilometer of racing to determine what three teams get the promotion up into the ZRL Premier League for Season 2 of 21-22 coming up in early January. Right here, right now, Nathan. I have a feeling that Arrow is looking to put an exclamation point at the end of today.
Looks like Bouch, I think, is going to be able to take this down. Norbalk has a solid sprinter. Mark O'Brien definitely just he's got a really, really high-end engine that can just go for a long, long period of time. But when it comes to the line here, I believe Noah's really going to have the kick. 300 meters to go here. I think Mark O'Brien's going to have to time something absolutely perfectly
I'm going to take
in order to take this man down.
All right. Try to even things up. I'm going to take the Arrow rider mark. There's the arch. Here we go. We are locked and loaded. This goes by very, very quickly. I don't think that's a real 300 meters as you see how quickly they're going to get through this. Now, Nathan, your man is hit out. Noah, yeah, you got it, Nathan. So Noah is going to, well, it's never over till it's over, but it looks like with that Arrow power up there, Noah Balk is going to take the win. Congratulations, Noah. That's a phenomenal ride against an absolutely stacked field. We're looking back now for third, fourth, fifth on course.
The Italian rider, Fumagalli, just walks away with this one. Harner made some moves earlier.
Third.
But it's going to be
for Zach Harner.
Fourth for Zach Harner here. They're just rolling across the line one after another. Loudon then across the line. It looks like Megales as well. Hebsgaard, Petrie, Schaefer here. I mean, it's just one after another here, taking down these top 10 spots. As we can see here, Kevin Bouchard Hall not in the conversation even for a top 10, actually. So it looks like things really upset there for Velocio. And I'm getting the feeling that BL13 may have done it because of that. They were out of the conversation a little bit more because of what we saw happen with that finish line.
But with Dan Cassidy coming through now,
true, there's a lot of points there. That's right.
Yeah, I'm going to hesitate a little on that. It's going to be interesting. I mean, when you talk about being bold, I really don't know. I don't want to make a guess in that situation.
As many BL13 that they can squeeze into this top 30 is really going to matter, actually.
See, that right there really counters the points that Cassidy picked up, right?
Yeah,
just kind of keep watching here. Yeah.
It really depends on how high Gamst finished at the end there. I thought he was going for a third, but Harner and Fumagalli just put the wrench in that one for him.
Yeah, I think Gamst was sixth is my guess. We'll have a chance
Velocio
to go back and
sneaking in with a 29th place. That might be the point right there, Dave. That could be the deciding point
can you imagine?
Between them.
If it is 1 point, there it was, right there. Good effort.
It is one. That was it. Coming in from Jay Frank there, the Velocio rider. So we'll see what ended up happening there.
That was fantastic. I tell you, it shows you how much it means to these riders. This course really separates the wheat from the chaff as well. You don't see many finishes like that. So I love the summit finishes that we have in the ZRL. Always a lot of fun. I know there's going to be horses for courses, as we say. Not every rider loves this, but it's good to give the climbers, the pure climbers. And actually today, not even really a pure climbers course. You had to get to that point. So, wow, fantastic. I know that they're hard at work tallying all of the points right now. You can always go to WTRL to see how things scored. But Nathan, this wraps up what was a phenomenal season for our community.
Let's see if we can have a conversation with John Brune, actually. John, can you hear me? I'm just going to double check. You got me? He may not. We'll double check here and see if he does. And if he does, we'll be able to jump in with him. John, you there from Mr. Eat Dirt Access?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, John. So what a race out there today. What was the plan out there today as you made your way around the Innsbruck ring? Looks like you grabbed a ton of points for the Eat Dirt Access team.
Yeah, I mean, we knew this was going to be a tough race.
We
were already down a couple guys. we knew that we had a couple guys that were good at sprinting, so just told the sprinters to go for it, and the guys that could climb told them to go for it too. So we were just out there to have fun. All these guys out here are so strong and so good. Just to be out here with them is such an honor to race alongside these guys. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, well, a pretty amazing job out there being a sprinter. We saw you take down a ton of points, John. And also, I want to just give for those that don't know, John qualifying the Continental qualifiers for World Championships for Team USA, third place. Want to speak to that just a little bit as how expected was that, and what a big deal that most likely is, I would think, here for the Bruin household.
Oh my goodness, I knew that that was going to be a hard race. It was a course that suited me well, and I thought maybe if I could just stick with the front group, maybe if I stuck with them, timed the sprint right, I had a shot. But I mean, realistically, I didn't. I knew those guys. I've looked up to those guys and studied those guys, and I thought they would walk away with it at the end. So to be there in the sprint, I was pinching myself, and when I saw the results come up. Oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever yelled that loud at all. And my wife came running in, she thought I broke something. And then the tears started flowing. I mean, honestly, my body was acting like it was crying, but I was so dehydrated, I don't think anything was coming out. But I was so excited. I mean, this really is an absolute dream come true. I can't believe it.
Absolutely amazing. So great, John. Appreciate the time. Appreciate you giving us the live view and the suffer cam for the climb out there today. Nice job on your qualification there in the World Championships, and great job to the Eat Dirt team out there and what you guys have been able to accomplish in the ZRL. We'll see you soon. We'll see you soon out there, John, and keep the action coming there from the Bruin household. Well, Dave, great to see some of the live action and a rider that really has come up out of the community. You know what I mean? The Dad's Inside Rider Trainers crew, it's one of the largest crews and teams for good reason when it comes to what Zwift is really all about in a lot of ways. And just hearing that story of, the kids and the family are in the other room. He's in there smashing himself to try and get this world championship spot. And she thought I broke something in the room here and came running in. He's got tears flowing. I mean, the stories just, they keep on producing out of the community. And I really think that's what ZRL, Zwift Racing League, and the community side of things is really all about.
Well, Nathan, I think that's a perfect example. You've been an advocate for riders like John Bruin for a long time, and you really don't know your limits until you put yourself out there. And John has shown a lot of courage and certainly quality of character. And I'm sure his family has a good feel now for how high quality of an athlete he is. And that speaks to everybody who takes part. We've had our A's, B's, C's, and D's out there racing. A lot of hopes and dreams on the line out here today. And I know they're going to be anxiously looking at how things sorted out after 10 weeks of high-level racing. It all came down to this. And yeah, it just gives me goosebumps when I think about how exciting it is to give the opportunities for the men and the women. I mean, for our women today, they got to race against the reigning world champion and a rider. I mean, for me, Zoe Langham really stands out as just a breakthrough season for her. And again, tip of the cap to all of our racers. You've really done an amazing job keeping our spirits high and putting on a great show. And thanks a lot for joining us today, John. I'm a big fan.
Huge fan. We are waiting for some of the data to come on through for our results. It sounds like things are really jumping around right now, and we do not want to give you any false hope to any of the riders or racers out there today.
Yeah, much like an election count, right, Nathan? You don't want to take a guess on this.
Thanks, Dave.
We want to make
Thanks, Dave.
we want to make sure that we've got it right for you here. And that's why, especially these spots mean a lot to these teams. I'm thinking of...
We're not stopping the count, though. We don't have to stop the count.
We don't stop. Yeah, no. We'll keep counting until... So I think at this point... It really was down to the top 30 riders. That was the moment that we can really get to work and sharpen up our pencils and figure out who it's going to be. But to the teams that qualify, congratulations. Those that didn't, keep on fighting. You're going to have your day.
I want to shout out Ned Bowen right now and M. Thompson, as well as P-Car, getting a top 30 ride in the B category just now. Some of our longest standing racers in the B category, actually amongst the men right now, making their way to the line. Always awesome to see. You know, when we speak to like the reality of the up and coming throughout the years, these are all racers that I'm looking at here amongst this dirt team, amongst teams that we've been talking about over and over again through this last 5-6 years of development of this esport. Great to see them coming back. This is the bread and, this is the bulk of our racers actually when it comes to Zwift racing. So it's so great to see them and celebrate what they're up to as well. We'll get their results and their points up as quickly as we possibly can. Men and women in the C, D, and B categories still coming across the line for these top 30 finishes.
Yeah, all out racing on the same course, same level of intensity, and the same camaraderie amongst these squads. It's a great course here. I hope to be racing out here again for next season. I know that a lot of our riders like Ashley would be more than happy to oblige. So it's such a steep climb as well. Nice to be in a group of 4.
Team CLS
Misery loves
looks like
company, right?
ATP Helium with 2 on the front in the D category, a category we don't get to jump in with a whole lot in and amongst these men. We'll see if we can get a little bit of coverage for this cat as we wait for some of these results to come in. Everybody's waiting on these, probably a little bit of nail biting going on right now.
I would think so. Absolutely. Because there's really no way to know unless you're Martin crunching the numbers right now exactly where you stand. So, yeah, it's exciting. You do your best. You put the deposit into the bank, and then you find out if that was enough. There's nothing more you can do. There's a certain sense of satisfaction, Nathan, in giving your best effort. And the win, lose, or draw part, well, it's out of your hands sometimes. But the one thing you can control is, did you try your hardest? And I think every rider out here can answer wholeheartedly, yes, they did.
CLS on the attack
I think
here.
even both commentators could say they tried their hardest.
Quickly here, I want to just highlight what Zwift is also really, really about. And for one of the first times ever in the history of cycling and racing, we have something like this going on in the world of esports, where it is really taking a forefront, Dave. And Dave, you've been around the world of cycling and commentating and events a lot longer than I have. Do you want to speak to this for just a moment?
Well, the one thing that stands out, Nathan, is that you can see it's equal prize money between men and women. And this is a standard that there's a few things to think about here, folks. 1984 was the first year that women had an Olympic road race. 1984. Doesn't that seem incredibly late? And we had so much ground to make up as far as equality, and we're still not there. But I'll say it, and I know I speak for a lot of folks at Zwift. Our friend Kate is one of many folks that are working incredibly hard with the Tour de France avec Zwift for women. This is a game changer, folks, and $15,000 in prize money to be split up amongst the men and the women, or they each have that pot to share. It goes, I believe, 3 teams deep, and I love to see it, really do. It's prize money is not why anyone is out here racing, but I think it's a nice reward. And for a lot of those riders, Nathan, that's enough money that they can get themselves a new smart trainer, or maybe take a trip to Girona. Whatever it might be, I'm happy to see that we're at a position now where the men and women are being rewarded equally for equal efforts. And Zwift, thank you very much for doing that.
100%. Absolutely awesome to see. And I do believe we have results coming through now. Let's take a look at how this ended up playing out with the women's side of things. And it is going to be Ashley Moomin-Passio at the top there. First across the line, 102.33. Zoe Langham, 19 seconds back, followed up by her teammate Helen O'Neill from Wahoo Lacole. SC10 take down 4th and 5th. It's going to be Amanda Argue. Solid ride for the Coalition Synergy there. Megan Rathwell from Riot, followed up by Sonia Carrot there for the WLC. Claire Cameron from Riot there, followed up by Jules Cass. Now, this is not going to be then the end of the story, though, when it comes to points. We'll update the standings, but this is the scratch race on the day. For the point side of things, we will give you guys an update here in just a moment. Let's take a look here at the B category, though. They should be pretty much finished up as the women started 30 minutes before the men. And Dave, it's Molly Van Heuling at the top.
Yeah, well, the former world hour record holder racing out of Northern California, Molly Van Houweling with Dutch Diesel Cycling. Zenna taking the win today. It's Maria Nyberg from Swedish Swifters. They had a great day, 2 in the top 5 in our A race as well. Katie Candeloro, nice job, Katie. Herta Butterflies rider taking the bronze medal out there today as Lucy Esdale out of Australia. And TBR Smile on B in 4th. Joke Beren in 5th. She's the Belgian rider on Herd of Little Penguins. Shannon Kaplan in 6th place for See So I Race Like a Girl Freya. Rosanne van Kerkhoven, the Dutch rider, in 7th today for Herd of Little Penguins. Nice to see they got a couple riders in the top 7. As the German Linda Sarmiento of ZRG RBO8 in 8th. Natalie Moreno. Natalie in New York City right there. The Colombian rider, I'm a big fan. And the Agawatt Queen Bees also have the American Emily Nyquist up there in our top 10. Ladies, thanks for racing. Great job.
And Agawatt Queen Bees, great to see them out there. And I want to give a big thanks for the affogato that showed up at my doorstep
Oh,
the other day. I believe that was them.
That was awesome.
I literally got affogato at my doorstep. I was told at this time, be on the watch out for a doorbell to ring. I was actually racing on Zwift yesterday and didn't hear it. And all of a sudden I get a Discord message that says, with a picture that's of a little something on my doorstep. I was like, what? Up. Yeah. And I was like, what is that? I head downstairs. And sure enough, it's a little charge me up affogato. They were like, Nathan doesn't know what affogato is. We're just going to drop it off at his house.
So for those of you that don't know, first off, Nathan, when you sent me that photo, I thought that it was a you were sending that to your kids. And because we'd been communicating quite a bit recently, that somehow you accidentally sent me a picture of a styrofoam cup that had God knows what in it. And Martin also on Discord said, what is that? I believe. And then when you said affogato, it all clicked for me. So did they DoorDash that to your house? Is that how that happened?
The team members actually dropped it off. I think it was actually one of the team members. Yeah.
So we know that there's some hidden Zwifters in Economawalk, right? So someone must have been the drop-off person. But at any rate, that's community. It makes me so happy to see something like that happening because there is, in Nathan, we've had like Felipe Nystrom is racing at the Pan Am Cyclocross Championships today or tomorrow. And he's part of our Zwift community. And I think that all summer long, you and I both had a great experience, whether it was you at Toad or me at Tulsa Tough, running into folks that we've only known through Zwift and seeing how cool they were in real life as well. Let me jump in, though, and get Brittany Keskinen here, another one of our Queen Bees on the GSZ Queen Bee Coalition. I wonder in Canada, do they say Z or Z? Well, I'm going to go with Z, as that's going to be Brittany Keskinen there taking the win. It's Anais Katten, the Swiss rider on Herd of Gentoo Penguins, taking the silver medal today in Innsbruck. Kamala Belstedt of the Australian Hump Day Ride ladies, the Carmelos team, taking the bronze medal. A lot of Australians up here. They had an extremely excellent national effort. TBR Smile on C is Emily Swales' team. She was in 4th. Netta Vogt in 5th. The American on the WTRL Drafting Dino C1 squad, Julia Wood out of the United Kingdom. And it's a few. TBR Smile on C had a great day. They had 3 riders in our top 10 as Julia Wood was the 2nd, and then Ivana Ciccelli in 7th place for TBR. Maggie Carden in 8th, the American on WTRL Drafting Dino C1. It was Georgie Newman in 9th for the Herd of Gentoo Penguins, and Deb Templeton rounding out our top 10. She's another Australian. 4 Aussies up there in the top 10. She was on the Carmelos edition of the Australian Hump Day Ride ladies team. That's your top 10 for our women's C's. Back to you, Nathan, for the D's.
And in with the D category here, it's the herd of Emperor Penguins coming across in 1:22:24. Claire Rawlinson there for the daiquiris there, 6 seconds back. Is that right? If I'm not incorrect, yeah, that's solid time there, and it looks like 4:13. So there was a breakaway, that's for sure. 4 minutes back then, though, for the second group for Gemma Gameno, and then Claire Greensides there coming on through about 20 seconds back from her. It's going to be Justine Leahy there for 4:51 back from the win. Jamie Bramwell for the herd of Blazing Bobcats at 6:10. Natalie Long at WTRL Drafting Dinos UK D1 in for 6:15 back. Evo Roses there with Kari and Bo. Candice Ramdial there for the Drafting Dinos. And Sam Denny for the herd of Emperor Penguins, 9:34 back. Lots of messages still in game. I just want to highlight this really quickly as the D category in the men's are still making their way to the top of the climb. They're about halfway up. The C category, most likely a few out there still too, but we will get in with the men's results. And then we will show you exactly how it went down in the standings. There's definitely some close races and some changes at the last moment, everybody. Whew, we're going to have broken hearts. Okay, Noah Balk here, WZ Wolfpack there at the top, 54.05. Mark O'Brien right on his wheel, unable to sprint him though to the line there with a 1.88 seconds back there. David Fumagalli from Team Italy. Watch out for that spot there. That's going to be a part of the conversation. Ben Hill, 11.75 back. Zach Harner, followed up by Michael Gamst. Michael, you got to sprint, Michael. Pierrick there, LaForester there. Benoit Kiel it's going to be Will Loudon and Nikolai Hebsgaard. That's your top 10 for the men's race here in the final playoff day of Zwift Racing League.
Look at that photo finish for 6th place there. We're going to jump in with the B's now, and it's the Scotsman, David Goodall, taking the win for NZ Bro the Eagle. Just over an hour of racing. That's really quick. Almost 4 watts per kilo to make that effort stick. Jeff Morton, the New Zealander for WMZBs in 2nd. Boy, did our riders from Down Under perform today or what? As this is going to be New Zealander Craig Clark in 3rd for NZ Bro the Legolas. AHDR Cheesecake Bombers rider Daniel Wells in 4th. Tyler O'Callaghan in 5th place for out of the United Kingdom for Dirty Beast Hellhounds. It's a great team name. 6th is Adam Evans for the Barracudas out of AHDR. That's stable. It's Matthew Mihalka, Zed Sunset rider in 7th, the American there. Morten Rome in 8th, Danish rider for DBR Tornadoes. TJ Ofringa is Dutch, and he was 9th today for the herd of Pacing Palominos. And then it's ZRGR.BO1 for Greg Schultz. That name rolls right off your tongue, doesn't it? For Greg Schultz there, the German rider, top 10 performance here. So that's a good look at our B's and your top 10 today with David Goodall. Top of the table. Back to you for our C's.
And it'll probably be the last one we're able to cover during the broadcast out here today. But Melanie Scheiko there comes across the line for ZRG. It's going to be Hannah Peters there for Dirt and Ernie. Stefano Rigiel for Team Italy 5. Jamie Bishop there for Cryo Jen Eisteren. Jeremy Patch, HDR Commodores there. Good to see a couple of women at the top showing these boys how to climb. Yeah, pretty impressive there. And one of the cool things about Zwift Racing in the mixed category there. Richard Schomburg there for Kier P. It's going to be Toon Bale Makers there for RR Woolly Rhinos. Francis Boundy for Kier P. 138 back. Quite the sprinting pack there between that 137 to 139 for that top 9. Francis Boundy, Marcus Klump, and then G. Reg Daviat there for the RR Woolly Rhinos. The D category still out on course, smashing away. Good job to the boys out there and boys and girls out there. Let's go ahead and have a little chat about what happened here. Let's just get to the results. This is just what went down. So it is going to be Wahoo Lacole at the top. They are the women's Division A champions of this season. 1 of 2021-22, followed up by Riot there, and then Rorka Korba just sliding in for third. Ashley Lumen Pasio really made it happen for them today, Dave.
Wow. Yeah, boy, I know they were gunning for that Premier League invite, so getting it done, that's impressive. Congratulations to Wahoo Lacole. That team, just from the start of the season, were on a roll. Amy Williams, Anna Fairweather, Coralie Arthur, Helen O'Neill, Laura Simonik, Maud Elaine LaRue, Sonia Cecil, Sonia Carrot, Tilly Field, Vies de Jong, and Zoe Langham. You didn't hear all of those names today, but they all played a part along the way to get themselves onto the top step of the podium. Riot there in second. This team has been so much fun to watch. They've really built an esprit de corps that is more than admirable. Many, many teams are trying to replicate what Riot is doing with Brittany Litton, Carly Francis, Claire Cameron, Evelyn Gagnon, Fiona Gallagher, Jennifer Reel, Kai Takashita, Christina Grossman, Liz Van Howling, Megan Rathwell, and Natalie Smith making up that team. For Roca Corba Cycling, it's not just the world esports champion, Ashley Mulman Pasio. Courtney Webb was phenomenal, as was the entire team, led by Ellie S. Child, Vi Osterby, Jules Cass, Lexi Brown, Luis Vardaman, Rian Denton, Tennille Otto, and Tiffany Keep. Congratulations to all of you women, and certainly enjoy a little bit of time off out here. You certainly earned it after a great season.
Yeah, we do have a question here about who came on in for fourth and fifth there. Thanks a lot, Johnny. Appreciate that. In the standings, let's see if we do have some updated standings, and we'll figure out how that ended up playing out here. In the women's standings, let's take a quick look. I believe we do have for them. And this is how it ended up playing out. It was Wahoo Lacole, Riot, Roca Corba. Wow. SC Zin followed up by Coalition Synergy. So that's the situation. A 1 point difference between the two. No Pins R3R followed up by Arrow 1. So that's how it ended up playing out there for the women's side of things when it comes to the standings. Now, this one came right down to it from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. And it's Arrow followed up by Velocio and Team Italy. But I was hearing that BL13 got nipped in the last couple of last couple of spots. Martin, are you there? I just want to, Martin, it sounded like it was really just the last few spots that just barely nipped BL13 at the end.
Yeah, indeed. I've just been watching all the riders finishing up. The top three has changed several times. We had 3 hour up there at one point. BL13 were there. Team Italy jumped in, then the order all changed again. It was a big squabble over that third finishing place. So yeah, there was a Team Italy rider who was somewhere further back in the climbing pack, and that rider is who's done it for them. It's great news for Team Italy, and condolences to everyone else. It's very, very close. When you show the league table, you'll see.
As you can see then, everybody, when it comes to a team effort, it 100% is, right? I mean, Dave, and I love how that works out here in esports. Absolutely awesome. And I see KBH in here. We did it. And out of everybody who's going to be really, really happy, I think, for how long that they've been after it, KBH is probably ecstatic right now.
Yeah, well, and as I said, esprit de corps and what this team has been doing. I mean, there's some riders on this team, and everybody's got a story. That's one thing I've really learned about our community. And I mean, one of these guys is a Stanley Cup winner, Andrew Ferentz, there at the top of the table, the Canadian on Velocio. So congratulations, Jeff Kabush, a 3-time Olympian on that Velocio team. But top of the table, how about the Australians, Arrow, Ben Hill? What an effort today. What an effort all season from Braden Clues-Proctor, Cooper Sayers, Liam White, Mark O'Brien, Matthew Ross, Nicholas Squilati, Samuel Hill, Tim Cutler, and Torben Partridge Madsen as they will take the gold medals. Our top community team for the A's, Velocio with Andrew Ferentz, Charles McCarthy, Dan Cassidy, Jeff Kabush, Jason Frank, KBH, Kevin Bouchard Hall, Mike Barton, Mike Morse, Ryan Atkins, Ted King, Tour de France finisher, and Tucker Wetmore. Way to go, guys. Team Italy, that's how you do it. fight, fight, fight as Alex Ciarean, Andrea Cina, Claudio Bina, Davide Fumagalli, Diego Cargnenuti, Fabio Petruzelius, Francesco Paolini, Luca Zanasca, Marco Gaspari, Marco Moratti, Massimiliano Milano, and Riccardo Panizza. Those names were the top riders in this year's ZRL Community Men's A Champions.
Absolutely amazing to see. Great job to all the racers out there. You want to see how close it was, everybody? Well, here it is. It came right down to it. Almost a tie with Velocio with first riders across the line. And as you can see here, Arrow, Wes, Velocio, Team Italy. Wes Wolfpack, I think, removed, I believe, there. So that's why you're seeing that in these final here. And unable to take the spot, I think, is also part of the reason why with the Premier Division. So BL13 just missing out 34, as you can see. So that's the situation there with the points. You can head over to WTRL.racing for any more information on the results. Not eligible for promotion. Thank you, Martin. I just got that information. So it just has to do with the fact that they already have a team at
a team in the right.
Yep, 100%. So, all right, everybody. Well, that's going to be it for us for the playoffs out here today. Appreciate everyone that hung out in chat. Some of the best that we've seen all season, actually, when it comes to the cheering on of the teams, the stadium environment that you get a lot of times in esports when it comes to the chat, dudes. We appreciate all of you 100%. Make sure to do all of those things to support the stream and the channel. Follow, like, hit those notification bells, etc. Dave, we're going to be back. We've got some Legion of LA crit racing coming up pretty quick.
Yeah, just a couple days, actually, or a few days until we're back. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fun being had, as well as a lot of knowledge being dropped out there. It'll be great to be back with you and Rasan.
A lot of knowledge being dropped, and then we are going to be on for Chase Race on Wednesday and back for TTT on Thursday. I thought we were backing off for the holiday season. No. And WBR is raising a whole lot of money and awesome good with Buffalo Bikes. Make sure to register your team. Get on with the fundraising. $10,000 match coming from Saris. Make it happen, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in as always. And we will see you next week. Right on.